Hey guys, welcome to November. This is our video for week 1, Monday, Tuesday of the November curriculum. So before we get going, get your body warmed up, doing some jumping jacks, sit-ups, push-ups, front-ups, getting a stretch in those legs. You're going to need that for what we're doing later. And then finish with 30 seconds of whether it's more jumping jacks or mountain climbers or jogging in place, high knees, something to get your body moving and ready to go. Get warmed up. All right, so we're going to start off today learning inside blocks. Inside blocks are something we do to block a punch that is coming straight down towards our chin, right? We did learn slipping off of the straight punch, right? But now this is going to be something that you're going to actually do with your hands to stop the punch, right? Now before we actually get to the block, we need to talk about proper hand positioning when you're in your ready stance. I see a lot of kids in their ready stance a couple of different ways. Some of them are like this, and they have their elbows down low, resting against their body, and their hands are right here. This is a bad position. It's way too close, and you won't be able to stop anything that's coming at your face from here before it gets to your face, all right? Another thing I see a lot of kids do is have their hands straight out like this, okay? Which is better than nothing, right? But when they're straight out like this, you really don't have much room to do some striking, okay? And then another thing I see is some kids have their elbows way up like this. Their hands are out here in a good place, but their elbows are way up, and that leaves your body exposed. And then other kids stand with their hands all the way together like this. And when your hands are all the way together like this, if you have them as high as you should, well, then you can't see what's right behind your hands, okay? So you want to have elbows down but not touching your body. You want to have hands out but not elbows completely straight, right? So that proper position, hand positioning, looks like this, okay? So my hands are out and away from my face. I do have a slight bend in my elbows, right? I'm not all the way out, but I'm also not having lazy arms like this with my elbows against my body. My hands are just far enough away that I have a little bit of bend in my elbows, but then when I need to strike, I still have some distance to build that power, okay? So, also, my hands are not touching, okay? My forward hand is out slightly farther than my back hand, okay? Only slightly, right? I don't want to be like this, because now this one's too far away to if they're coming at me from this side, I may not get it there in time, right? But from here, I have a lot less movement I have to do if that was an outside block, okay? And now, once we have our hands in good position, if someone is going to try to punch us in the chin, that means they got to go right through the middle, right between my hands. And that's where the inside block comes in, right? If I'm like this, okay, now they definitely have to go through my hands, but I can't see it coming, right? So I do need to be able to see what's coming, all right? Now comes the inside block. When they're punching straight down at the chin, all you do is turn your hand like this. And you can even close a fist if you want, but it's this side of your arm that comes across and hits the punch. And it's not this big thing over here, right? It's just a small enough movement, just like with slipping is a small movement, inside block is a small movement as well, okay? Staying in the rectangle of safety. We've talked about that before with the high blocks and low blocks, okay? That also applies to inside blocks. So in our ready stance, from good hand positioning, my hands aren't touching, they're not too far out, they're not too close in, right out here, I turn and I snap it in right towards the middle, right? So their hand is coming down the middle, and it's this side of the arm, it's the pinky side of your arm that blocks it, okay? And so think of almost like snapping your fingers. When you snap your fingers, that's the kind of twist you want in the hand with the inside block, okay? You don't necessarily have to practice blocking punches today, but if you do have a helper or parent who can give you some slow punches straight towards the chin, you practice keeping your hands right here. What I want, don't end up going like this so you can block from way out here. This is a terrible position. This is I surrender, you can take me as your prisoner, right? You want to be right here. This is the universal stop, don't come any closer. And then when they try to punch down the middle, all you got to do is have that little snap, right? Now when their punch comes and you block it, you're trying to block them right around here on the forearm and wrist, okay? You don't want to hit their hand. You don't want the force of their punch going into your hand. That's gonna hurt a lot. So it's the side of your arm hitting the side of their arm, okay? So practicing some inside blocks with a nice little snappy movement, always bringing those hands right back here. All right, so really focus on getting your hands in proper positioning, out away from your body. Elbows are down but not against your body. Elbows down and away from your body, hands out at the same level as your face without touching each other. Okay, all right, practice that good hand positioning and then add a little bit of this in there. If you have a parent or helper, they can give you some punches. We'll work on it more as the month goes on. Ready, set, go. All right, next up on our agenda is pivot front kicks. Remember that word pivot clues us into which leg we should use in our ready stance. Pivot means we need to use our back leg. All right, here is what that kick looks like. Hey! Okay, one more time from the other side. Hey! Okay, pivot front kick has 4 parts. Okay, the first part is chamber. That means you take your back leg and you pick your knee up right here like this. The higher your knee is, the higher your kick is gonna get. If you only chamber right here, your kick is only gonna go out to there, right? But if you chamber up here, your kick's gonna get out nice and high where it needs to go. The target for this kick is the belly. All right, so keep that in mind as you're kicking. All right, so we've got chamber, is this part right here. And what I want you to practice right now is doing 10 chambers where you bring your knee up, hold it for 1 second, and then set it right back down, keeping those hands in good position. We were just going over, right? Chamber and set it back down. So you're going to do that 10 times, and you're going to switch your feet, and you're going to do just chamber on the other side. Now notice when I'm chambering, look at the shape of my foot. I'm not letting it droop down like this, but I'm keeping it flexed and really strong, because the next step in the 4 steps of the kick is the kick, right? So we've got chamber, and then kick, and then retract. Retract means you bring it right back to the chamber. We used to call it rechamber, okay? And then it's back to balance, okay? So do 10 chambers on each side. Ready, set, go. All right, now that you've done 10 chambers on each side, you're ready to add the rest of the steps. So we've got chamber, kick, retract, back to balance. Notice my foot positioning. I'm not just letting my foot dangle and flop out there. Strong foot, because it's the bottom of my foot that's going to be pushing on the belly of my opponent, okay? So now that you've got really good chambers, make sure when you kick out, you pull your foot back before you set it down. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to have a good chamber, kick, and then let it drop, right? The reason for that is if you're kicking at their belly and you don't pull your foot back, they might be able to grab onto that foot, and then it's a bad day for you because you're on one foot, you're off balance, they could toss you around, right? So it's chamber, kick, retract, back to balance, and then that is the 4 parts of the kick. All right, so practice 10 of those kicks on each side. Ready, set, go. All right, next skill we're going to be going over this month is our hammer fist strikes. Hammer fist strikes are one of my favorite ways to hit if I have to in self-defense. It's because it uses a strong part of the hand. It's a pretty natural movement. You don't have to get it just right. The only thing you do need to be sure and do is have as tight a fist as possible, all right? So a hammer fist strike is, think rock, paper, scissors, right? You have your fist and it's hitting the surface. And that's exactly what a hammer fist strike is, okay? Now, the way we want to do a hammer strike is we want to have as much power as possible, right? Now, so for kids, the best way to get power is to bring your arm up nice and high, right? Your elbow comes up nice and high. Then as you bring that hammer down, you bring it down and you drop your weight, okay? Now, you want to avoid going boom and like swinging all the way down like this, because then that leaves you open, right? We're not going, right? That gets sloppy and floppy and leaves you open to possibly getting hit back, right? So, hands are up, good, ready position. You lift up a little bit as you bring that elbow up. This hand stays right here. And then you swing down, drop it down just about as far as your knees. This hand is still staying up to cover. And then you come back up into your ready stance. Then the other elbow comes up. You go up on your toes a little bit and drop it down. Stopping right about at your knees. And then come right back up into that ready stance. So when you put them together, it looks like this. 1, 2. Okay, and that was slow-mo. But the idea is I want you to see how it's rise up, come down, bring it back up, rise up, come down. All right? It's not just this willy-nilly, oh, I'm going to flap my arms around. No, the power comes from using your whole body. Come up and down, up and down. Okay? It's not just banging the drums, right? It's using your whole body to smash as hard as you can, okay? Always keeping one hand up to cover, okay? Right? We don't want to go hammer, hammer, and just have nothing by our face, right? So always keeping one hand up and guard to cover right by your face, okay? So practicing those hammer fists. Do 20 hammer fists for me, but not full speed. I want you to do them slow-mo like this. 1, 2, 3. Really keeping the other hand up, using that whole body to drop down, right? It's not bending over, it's bending the knees, squatting down, all right? Practicing those hammer fists. Ready, set, go. All right, guys, last thing we got today is our sheet. The new word of the month is cooperation. Working together to achieve a common goal. This is going to be a lot of fun in class this month. We're going to be doing different exercises and drills on working together, accomplishing things together as a group. It's a lot of fun. So if you are training at home, look for opportunities and ways to cooperate with your family, to get along and to pitch in and do your part. Remember how to get a hold of our sheet. You can go to shepherdwarriormartialarts.com and there's a drop down menu under members, and it'll drop down and there's a list and it says character sheets. Click on character sheets. Juniors are all the way down at the bottom of that character sheets page. It should say cooperation November, something along those lines. And you can get to studying. And just a reminder, we will be testing Monday and Tuesday, the week of Thanksgiving. All right, see you next time.